everything you need to know about a Lamborghini Urus. The Lamborghini Urus, the world's very first supercar SUV. Well, actually the second, because Lamborghini actually already tried this once before. Back in 1985, Lamborghini released the LM002, which was the very first SUV or truck from a supercar brand. Now, the world wasn't ready for it at the time. Sales were absolutely terrible. In fact, the whole vehicle was pretty terrible, and they only sold about 300 units. But as a very wise person told me once, if a vehicle isn't selling well, maybe it's the vehicle that you should buy, because 33 years later, those Lamborghini LM002s are worth one heck of a pretty penny. Fast forward to 2019, Lamborghini released this, the Urus. That's right, an SUV wearing the Lamborghini badge. And when this vehicle first came out, there was a lot of mixed reviews. People were criticizing how dare they throw a Lamborghini badge on an SUV, but those naysayers are eating their words now. The Urus sold immensely, so much that Lamborghini had to completely retool the manufacturing plant where they're making Uruses just to keep up with demand. Lamborghini forecasted 3,500 units sold annually, but Lamborghini is selling over 5,000 Lamborghini Uruses each year. In fact, they've made over 30,000 Uruses, which doubles the biggest production of any Lamborghini sold today. The Lamborghini Urus does wear the Lamborghini badge, and it wears it proudly. It has very bold, aggressive Lamborghini design language. It has absolutely blistering, white knuckle, hair-raising performance, and it also makes all the gurgles and pops of your favorite Lamborghini. Now this Lamborghini Urus was graciously lent to me by my friend Sendy, who told me a story where he went to the dealership with plans of buying a Huracan just like I have, but his wife, the voice of reason, said, why buy a two-seater Lamborghini when you can have a five-seater Lamborghini? And not only was she right, but so many other families have been able to keep a sports car in their driveway by still having room to bring the family to soccer practice. I cannot wait to tell you more about this beautiful Lamborghini Urus.
I'm Jeff Batchelor, and I love cars. I love the look, I love the design, and I love the emotion that you feel. I love the history, brand stories, marketing strategy, and automotive trends. I love engineering, types of propulsion, engine specs, drivetrain, and performance, and I love the interiors, layouts, smell, and the gizmos and gadgets and bells and whistles. But I don't only love cars, I also sell them. If you love this content and want to chat about a purchase, text me at 416-523-6585. Now back to the video.
So in the history of Lamborghini Uruses, there really is only one generation. However, we have recently seen a very small refresh on the styling on the Lamborghini Urus. Now, Urus stands for Wild Ox, which still keeps with that bull theme that Lamborghini keeps consistent across so many of his models. And as far as trim levels go, in its first edition, the only variants you can find would be this one, as well as a high-performance Performante edition. In the current version of the Urus, you also have an SE hybrid version, which instead of 640 horsepower, puts out almost 800 horsepower. But don't worry, if you don't want the hybrid systems, you can still get your Urus in its pure form without any of the electrical assistance. Now, when it comes to class and competition, I mentioned this is the world's first supercar SUV, but since this came out in 2019, we've seen other competitors come out with versions like this. Think of the Ferrari Pero Sangue, which is a 12-cylinder Ferrari SUV. Think of the Aston Martin DB X, which is an 800 horsepower family SUVs. And those are really the only two I'm going to put in the same category as this because they are super cars. Now, this Lamborghini Urus is actually built off the same MBL platform that the Audi RS Q8, the Porsche Cayenne GT, as well as the Bentley Bentayga are all based off of, but none of those brands are supercar brands, so they don't really fall in the same competition. Now, if we want to talk about other high performance vehicles that have similar specs, there's the BMW X5 competition, which I've already reviewed. There's the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk, which I'm about to review, and there's also Mercedes and Land Rover and Jaguar high performance SUVs. But really, like when you look at a Lamborghini, there's nothing that makes you smile, there's nothing that commands as much of attention, and there's nothing that gurgles and pops like a Lamborghini. So even when Lamborghini makes an SUV, it stands in a class all on its own. All right, so now let's get into the good stuff, the performance. What is powering your Lamborghini Urus? Well, this is a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine that, although is available in other Volkswagen products, in the Lamborghini Urus, we get the most potent version of it. A 640 horsepower, 627 feet-pound of torque beast of an engine that puts all that power down to all 4 wheels, capable of pushing this Lamborghini Urus 0 to 60 in only 3.6 seconds. Now, this Lamborghini Urus only comes in automatic. It's an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, but it has 2 other really cool performance party tricks that help keep this performance down on the road. Number 1, it has got 4-wheel steering. That's right, in slow speeds, it'll actually turn the wheels in opposite directions, thus cutting down the turning radius and making handling this longer Lamborghini still very nice and nimble. Now, at high speeds, it turns the wheels in the same direction, which allows you to have a lot more stability when you are going at high speeds. Now, also, because this vehicle is so much bigger than a normal Lamborghini, it uses air suspension to keep this Lamborghini on rails. Lamborghinis are famous for their precise steering, and this Lamborghini Urus maintains that with the help of its adaptive air suspension. Now, that is not all, because this Lamborghini Urus also has some impressive tow ratings as well. It does, however, have a V8, and this Lamborghini can tow over 5,000 pounds. So you could put a Lamborghini Urus on a trailer and tow it behind a Lamborghini Urus if you ever felt so inclined. All right, now let's talk exterior styling. Now, I don't envy the team that had to come up with putting Lamborghini styling onto an SUV, but they did a fantastic job. When I first saw pictures of the Lamborghini Urus coming out, I don't think I was the biggest fan, but from the very first time I saw one in person, I was in love. This strongly takes influence from the Lamborghini Aventador in all of its design language, as well as maintains so many of the things that Lamborghini does well, which is putting hexagons and Ys all over the vehicle. Now, right away we notice a similar Lamborghini hood that, instead of having 2 lines that come in to the center, it has 2 lines that point up to the windscreen. That is something that you will find on almost every single Lamborghini model hood of the last 20 or 30 years. As we move on to the headlights, we see a very familiar Y LED light pattern. It's really nice that when you put the turn signal on, the same daytime running light LED gets replaced with the turn signal illumination in that same bracket as well too. The nose comes to a very sharp point, makes me think of a bird's beak, but it also makes it look like this hood wants to jump over the rest of the vehicle. And although there's a significant amount of lower volume on this vehicle, the use of piano black on the lower spoiler, the use of piano black around the fender flares really does a good job keeping the overall volume of this vehicle small and actually compact looking, really playing a good trick on the eye. Now in the front, we have massive intakes that allow all that air into this engine. This is a twin turbo engine, so we need to make sure that there is a lot of cooling getting into that engine bay, okay? We also have a very non-discrete sensor for all your safety systems. I bring this up because in my Huracan, I've got no safety sensors. I don't even have cruise control or a cup holder. So when Lamborghini was going to make a family SUV, they made sure to still have some safety features functional and available to its owners. And then over on the side, we see these very notorious Y brackets on the side. They look like March Madness playoff brackets, but again, it's a very familiar Lamborghini thing to have these Y patterns repeat itself throughout the vehicle. Something that Lamborghini has always done very well is had very good line flow on their vehicles. A line from the front of the vehicle is always going to connect to a line at the back of the vehicle. They do a very good job making sure that there's a very similar silhouette that you see on all Lamborghini vehicles, and that's not easy to do when you're fighting with a very large SUV. So again, the use of piano black to change the silhouette of this vehicle was so masterfully and perfectly done on this vehicle. Right around the wheel arches, we see that we've got that hexagonal shape that Lamborghini has made so famous, but putting it on the wheel arches and making it piano black makes that wheel arch look much bigger than it actually is. So big that it makes these 23-inch rims look like they're 16 inches. You can't tell the sheer volume of these rims because this vehicle is playing tricks on your eyes. Now through these rims, again, we have the world's largest carbon ceramic brake rotors in there, 17 inches. And to grip those large rotors, we have 10 piston calipers to make sure that we can pull this Lamborghini Urus to a halt. All right, and with a risk of sounding redundant, strong design language is Lamborghini's bread and butter. And we see this Y pattern replicated along the side of this Lamborghini Urus, which again gives it so much presence, so much aggression, and I absolutely love it. And then on the back, of course, we've got more Ys in signature Lamborghini LED taillights, which are absolutely beautiful. Now again, that same party trick from the side and the front with piano black and the splitter allow the volume of this Lamborghini Urus to look a lot smaller than it actually is. The thing you want to do when you're trying to make a big, large SUV look like a sporty sedan or a sporty coupe. They did a fantastic job with the design of the Lamborghini Urus, and I just like it more and more every time I see it. All right. Now, not only is this Lamborghini Urus my dream spec on the outside in that beautiful Lamborghini yellow with all the gloss piano black elements, but the interior of this specific Lamborghini Urus is my exact dream spec as well. I love Alcantara suede, and the more Alcantara suede, the better. I love glossy carbon fiber, and the more glossy carbon fiber, the better. And I also love when every other patch of the vehicle is wrapped in a premium material, and Lamborghini has done that as well. From the top to the bottom of the door sills and even the cup holders, everything is wrapped in leather. From the top of the door sill to the speaker covers, those are made of high-end aluminum materials, and the speaker covers even have a very familiar Y pattern cut right between them. And there's something else about a Lamborghini that I noticed in my Huracan is that everything feels very rigid, very solid. And again, they've done a great job maintaining that on the interior of this Lamborghini Urus. Now, when it comes to the seats are extremely adjustable. What you would expect out of not only a high-end vehicle, but also a performance vehicle. We've got thick, huggy bolsters that hold you in place, and again, some gorgeous yellow stitching that accents a hexagonal pattern that again, we're gonna see repeated a million times on this interior. The air vents are hexagonal. The buttons are hexagonal. The trim around the infotainment screens are hexagonal, and even the Lamborghini logo on the steering wheel are all hexagonal. Now, although this has a very premium feel with materials. It has a very Lamborghini-esque design. I can't help but say that the second I touch the steering wheel, I know that this is an Audi. And I hate to say that because I didn't want to be that guy, but the buttons, the feel, the perforated mesh is exactly like many of the Audis that I have already reviewed. Now, when it comes to the infotainment stuff, that's not a bad thing because Audi is making some of the best infotainment systems, so borrowing a couple parts from Audi is not all bad. All right, now that we're sitting in your Lamborghini Urus, we have a very traditional start button where you lift up a red lever to expose, yes, a hexagonal start-stop button. Now, if you're wondering how to get this vehicle in gear, it still uses the Lamborghini system where pulling up on the right paddle is the way to get it into drive. Now, although I think this is a very unique feature, on my Huracan, the paddle is the only thing that's surrounding the steering wheel. Because this steering wheel is borrowed from Audi buttons, it keeps the Audi wiper turn stock, the Audi turn indicator turn stock, and the cruise control all around the paddles. I find this very, very distracting, and they should have just gone with one way or the other. Either a traditional gear selector and kept all the turn stalks, or if they're going to keep the paddles as your gear selector, then find a way to integrate the turn stalks into buttons on the steering wheel. All right, now looking through your steering wheel, you can see a very familiar driver cluster from Audi. But again, that's a great thing because this is a fantastic driver display. We've got a large speedometer and tachometer straight smack dab in the middle, and then the screens on both sides are very customizable. On the left-hand side, I can choose between trip computers, short displays, lap times, and all kinds of different information on the left-hand side. I can also toggle through things like my navigation, my phone, my music, and my vehicle settings. The right-hand side, all I need to do is press my view button, and I can see things like tire pressure, power and torque, see it on a chart, my off-road dynamics if I'm on a hill or if I'm on a slant. So again, very, very nice system here from Audi, very easy to use. Now this display will also change slightly as I change different drive modes as well. But again, this is a huge plus of this Lamborghini, a Lamborghini, believe it or not, with an incredible digital dash and infotainment system. Now, I'm not going to take a long time talking about the infotainment system because, frankly, it's just a really good infotainment system and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to learn how to use it. We have a hotbar on the left-hand side, which allows you to quickly find your radio, your music, your phone, and your navigation. But should you want to reorder any of those items or put different items onto your hotbar, simply press and hold, and then you can actually now slide things right over and replace anything that you want on the hotbar. So a very, very good system. Of course, it has your wireless Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto, which are very nice, but it also has a really, really nice camera system. Not only can I use a 360 view of the camera system, but I also have a high resolution 3D version, which actually shows my Urus and everything that's around us, including my cameraman's tripod in front of my garage. Some other neat things that you'll find in your instrument cluster in your Urus page is, again, a visual representation of all your different drive modes when you change from Strata to Sport to Corsa to Snow, and it also lets you know that your suspension is raising and lowering. Also, if we go to our Ego page, again, this allows us to individually adjust these functions. Also, if we go back to the Urus page, we can also say vehicle information relevant to your Urus. This is, however, an SUV. You are going to take it off-road, so why not see what type of angle you have, what type of pitch and roll your vehicle has as well. You also have the options of changing your seats, if you want them to automatically back up when you turn on and off the vehicle, change your exterior lighting and your ambient lighting, and also turn on and off your safety systems. Moving down the center stack, we now have the comfort screen, which is a screen dedicated entirely to your climate controls. Again, very easy to make the temperature go up, change your fan speed, and change the location of where the air blows. Again, this is actually super, super, super simple. So even though it's on a digital screen and there aren't any hard tactile buttons, this touchscreen with its haptic response is actually very satisfying to touch. And the last two features on this center stack is we do still have a traditional volume knob and the ability to change tracks and seek stations in a physical button. And then down below, we also have a button which quickly gets you to your cameras and quickly turns on and off all your safety systems. All right, now in true Lamborghini fashion, this has got a cool startup system. We simply flip up the red cover to press the start button and your beautiful Lamborghini Urus fires up. Now, if you're wondering how to get your Lamborghini Urus into drive, it's a simple pull back of the right paddle, okay? Now, if you're wondering how to get your Lamborghini into neutral, it's a press of both of the paddles. And if you're wondering how to get your Lamborghini Urus into reverse, well, we're gonna pull back on this like you're a fighter jet trying to push the thrusters into reverse. Park is very easily located right on the side. And then the M on the right-hand side allows you to put your vehicle into manual mode, which can also be done simply by just using the paddles to override the drive mode. Now on both sides of the gear selector and start button, we do get buttons associated with the performance of your vehicle. The Enema lever allows you to switch through different drive modes. Strada means street, Sport means sport, Corsa means track, and Nev means snow. So even if you don't know your Italian, you actually get visual displays up in your instrument cluster. The only downside is you can't actually push this up. You just have to cycle through to get to your selected drive mode. Now, although you have drive modes, which will change your acceleration, your handling, and your suspension of the vehicle, you also get a separate paddle where you can pull it back to individually adjust those things. The three settings for each of them are smooth, medium, and sportive, and you have those three options on all three functions. All right, and then in the back seat of your Lamborghini Urus, the attention to detail doesn't end. The door sills still have leather from the tops all the way down to the bottom. We still get those beautiful aluminum and carbon fiber trims, and we even have Alcantara suede on the door sills so that your kids can wipe their snotty boogers all over your beautiful suede. Now the seats are the same fine leather from up front. Everything feels so sturdy and so well appointed in the back of this Lamborghini Urus. Another thing I love is I love these little climate controls that have little touch pads for your temperature and your fan. This doesn't just have two climate zones. This has four distinct climate zones, making sure that every passenger in your Lamborghini Urus can adjust their comfort. They've also got heated seat adjustments, and we have a center console that reveals the world's smallest cup holders as well. And then legroom is fine, headroom is okay. I'm almost a full-size adult and I've got plenty of room back here. I'd be very interested to see how somebody that might be 6 feet or taller fits, but this is gonna be more than enough for your family as long as your kids aren't basketball players. And one of the best parts about a Lamborghini Urus is it's a Lamborghini that actually has storage space as well. It always comes up when I drive my Huracan that I can't take my wife and my son with me, but in a Lamborghini Urus, you not only have seat belts for 4 or 5, but you also get a very usable, very practical storage area here in the back. The back of it is very deep, as you can see, and the middle seat actually folds down so you can place large objects in here as well. Now, located right on the inside of the left here, I have buttons where I can actually lower the height of my Lamborghini. So again, if I need to load large boxes or heavy items in the back, I can do that very, very easily. And I can also make it go back up with the same set of buttons. Maybe I want to sit in the back of my Lamborghini Urus and tailgate. Well, I can lift it up and make sure that I've got the most comfortable seating position there as well. Underneath the low floor, nothing special here. We've got a spare tire repair kit. We've got the subwoofer for the sound system, but not much cargo area under there. So you're really just gonna have to maximize what you've got available in the cargo area. And then a few buttons that come over from its Audi brother is you do have the ability to close the tailgate with a button, but also a button I really like, which is the lock button. So after you've taken all your elements out, gotten the kids unloaded, and you're done with your vehicle, a simple one-touch button not only closes the tailgate, but makes sure that all the other doors are locked as well. All right, folks, so there you have it, the Lamborghini Urus. If you ever wondered what it would look like if Lamborghini and an SUV had a baby, well, here it is. A recipe that worked out so well that it became the top selling vehicle that Lamborghini has ever made. People can't stop buying these Uruses, and that's a great thing for Lamborghini lovers because it funds all the fun other cars that Lamborghini gets to make. You see, this is a Lamborghini through and through. It looks wild and crazy, it drives wild and crazy, it sounds wild and crazy, and the interior makes you feel oh so special. It can't be compared to its brothers and sisters, even if they are half the price. The Porsche Cayenne GT slips through the crowds and nobody even knows that it's a high performance SUV. The Audi RS Q8, although can put down some great times, just doesn't have the feel and the magnitude of a Lamborghini Urus. You see, when I got my Lamborghini Huracan, I was super worried that because it had the same engine of my Audi R8, it wasn't gonna feel so special. But the second I got behind the wheel and I gripped that Lamborghini steering wheel and I drove past the neighbors, you know you are in something special. If you want not only a high performance SUV, room for your family, but something that feels more special than anything you've ever sat in the cockpit, well, the Lamborghini Urus will check all those boxes.